The world couldn't go on if everyone chased their dreams. Best wishes to all is a Shutter original, directed by Yuta Shimotsu, who did a short of the same name, and was also written by Yumi Kakakuda, and this centers around a granddaughter played by Kotone Furukawa. If I mispronounce any of these names, I do apologize, who decides to go visit her grandparents outside of Tokyo, Japan, as opposed to Tokyo, Maine, or Tokyo, North Dakota, or Tokyo, Alaska, near Nome, Alaska. So this granddaughter, by the way, they don't actually list any of the people by name. They're just known by their familial relation, according to IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm just doing my best here. And after arriving, her grandparents want to make sure that their granddaughter is happy because it's all about happiness. And happiness isn't guaranteed. Happiness is not easy. It does not come easy. It comes with a price. A theme that is basically hit over your head like a sack of wet bricks. Over and over and over. Yeah, it's a bleak, depressing thing with some social commentary about how the older generations do everything they can to make the next generation happy at the expense of their own happiness, but that happiness comes with a price. And this town, of course, only has one road in, one road out, at least seemingly, and everybody knows your name. They're always glad you came. You better make sure that you realize that happiness isn't guaranteed in this town where everybody knows your name. Do 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 do. So yeah, things are not what they seem. We do have an opening where certain sounds are heard in the grandparents' place when the granddaughter is younger. Now she's in nursing school, wanting to help people. The parents are going to arrive along with her younger brother, but that's going to take some time. And she realizes her grandparents maybe aren't exactly totally on the level. There's something a little bit wrong because the theme of, are you happy now? Oh, I'm happy, this kind of stuff and everything. And look, it's probably a cultural thing because I can imagine that Japan is a fuck ton different than America as far as happiness goes and as far as familial relations and, taking care of the older generation. And while I do normally enjoy Japanese horror, psychological, whatever, being that this is based on a short and being that this is full of a few things that I have seen in other movies, I got elements of When Evil Lurks as well as The Visit, especially with the grandparent aspect, and even a bit of Midsommar. There are elements of this movie that weren't all that bad, but unfortunately this probably should have stayed as short because it has a hodgepodge of ideas. It has stuff that probably could have worked as a central theme. And while I know exactly what they were going for, in fact, the theme is so goddamn on the nose, it's very easy to figure out early on. It's just not all that interesting, unfortunately. I don't think it is a bad movie. I think there are ideas that work. I think that the performances are okay. But yeah, this just kind of feels like an amalgamation of a lot of horror that I've seen, better Japanese horror movies and everything. I mean, I will say that it's the cinematography is very well done. There are a few body horror elements that are okay. But yeah, this didn't really gel for me. This really didn't. It's on Shudder if you want to check it out. That being said, few neat little ideas, not great execution. 3, 2, 1, spoiler. So, we open up with the granddaughter, younger, visiting her grandparents. She hears some weird noises, and instead of being smart when she's woken up by a strange voice and going back to sleep or using the bathroom and going back to sleep, she decides to follow down a long hallway. And here's a raspy voice, because that's what I always want to do, is go towards a raspy, almost demonic sounding voice when I'm a child. That's what I'd want to do if I was a kid, except I probably wouldn't do that. And then we smash cut to current day, where there's a title. I couldn't read the credits, by the way, because I can't read Japanese. There were subtitles, fortunately, for the dialogue. And there's an old lady that basically, this granddaughter helps across the street. She says, "I'm sorry, young folks are sacrificed for old people like me." Something like that. Theme here, sacrifice. They took care of you, you need to take care of them. Happiness needs to have a balance. And happiness, once again, the theme, that kind of stuff. There's bumps in the attic. And then the grandparents are making strange noises, like after carving up some bacon, they're eating and making pig noises. The pigs are happy to be eaten because they always are locked in cages and made fat, and now they're happy to be eaten and consumed and have a purpose and stuff like that. Um, so there's something clearly amiss. I'm just going to skip ahead here a little bit after she interacts with a boy that she seemed to know from younger time, or from, her, younger days. A boy that she clearly could end up liking. She also ends up a little bit earlier helping a kid that's being bullied by somebody for whatever reason. And okay, after talking to the boy that she may like and everything, who's dealing with his own stuff with his dad, that wants him to achieve his dreams, but with that opening line, not everybody can achieve their dreams and pursue their dreams, because if everybody did that, then the world couldn't be balanced. It's all about balance in this world. This movie should have tried having some balance instead of the imbalance of the lack of horror mixing with the lack of earned psychological drama. There is one part where the grandma tries almost like a visit-like thing where she's trying to open the closet with her, or the door with her face. That's kind of funny, at least to me. And there was one piece of dialogue where, she will learn at the end. She will learn what this is all about. That our happiness is all because of him. Who is him? Oh, there's a weird guy that they just happen to have the eyes and mouth sewn shut. Because they're getting the happiness away from him, I guess. That's the one part where I'm like, okay, I guess the idea is you just have to take happiness from somebody else. There's a limited amount of happiness in the universe. They do have something that they are putting in their miso soup. It's the instant miso soup power with, well, I mean, if you get that reference, I love you guys. And they have certain, things that they wouldn't have, because they have this happiness, this endless happiness from somebody else. What are they mixing the miso soup with? I'm thinking some kind of blood compound and some kind of soul, but who knows? So she ends up talking to this guy that she likes. He ends up helping free her, or free the guy. She and him end up helping free the old guy that has his stuff sewn shut, and he's freaking out for whatever reason, probably because he's been trapped in that house forever. And he's laughing, and he's on the road, and the parents and the their son are arriving. And then this truck ends up hitting the goddamn old man on the road. And oh boy, that was some fun CGI. You probably shouldn't have done that. That looked really bad. I'm sorry. I know it's probably low budget, but good grief. Whew. By the way, the parents knew all about this. And there's also turned out to be something about an aunt that went to live in the mountains, because apparently she freaked out about this whole ritualistic thing. Because the guy got hit by the truck, they were like, well, let's set him on fire. We need to find a new one. Granddaughter, you were supposed to do, or granddaughter or daughter, depending on who's talking, you need to go do this. I don't want to do this. She doesn't want to do her part for the happiness of the family, which I imagine is probably trying to be something dramatic, but just ended up being kind of stupid to me. So now that they don't have this old guy that, has eyes sewn shut and his mouth sewn shut, now there's going to be stuff like bleeding and convulsions and laughter, and basically the family's going to break down because they no longer have their happiness source. So the idea is she needs to go find somebody else. She went to go talk to her aunt in the mountains. Her aunt was basically freaking out. That talks about this illusion. She's basically batshit crazy, essentially, because you've been living in the fucking mountains. And she ends up basically, just hanging out with her niece and everything, and helping her chop wood. And then she gets in the way of the wood being chopped, and the axe goes right through her head, and now she's covered in blood. The granddaughter is. So she goes to talk to the guy, but kind of pushes him off because he suggests, hey, let's get away from this before things are too late. So the bonsai that the grandparents are trimming is drying up. The grandmother is somehow pregnant, trying to give new life to something, I guess? Kinda? If you guys know what the fuck that means, please let me know, because before this, the movie had fucking lost me. So, Also, during this part, the granddaughter is talking to the kid that was bullied. He says, he's accepted it, this kind of stuff, and they're friends, and got to know your place in the world. Are you happy? Are you happy? No. At this point, I was not happy watching this movie. Not because I was depressed, just because there were most of this I got. Some parts I was just confused by, probably because of the cultural thing. Also because I didn't think the movie was very good. Then she says, "Well, I don't want to see this stuff. I'm going to sew my own eyes shut." She manages to do like one little bit, but can't do it. So the guy who she likes, who tried to get her to go away, tries to get her to leave because his dad died and get out of here before it's too late. But then she won't do that. And then he ends up saying, "Okay, fine. Instead of you doing this, I'm going to have you choke me." And he does. So he becomes her source, or her family's source of happiness, because he has nothing left and he can't achieve his dream of being a painter. So he just becomes that, and now she's happy with a boyfriend, seemingly, and wandering around a neighborhood with her boyfriend or husband. She's a doctor now because she was in nursing school, and she sees somebody that draws the curtains back, and she's laughing. Why? Oh, why are you so happy? Well, because I am happy, I guess. I don't know. I didn't get this. This didn't grab me. I mean, it grabbed me at first and it just shoved me away, like saying, "Leave, just to please. I care too much about you. Don't do this." There were parts of it that were okay, but a lot of it just was basic. And unfortunately, it gets 2 stars. If I gave it on Letterboxd, it gets an F. I'm sorry. It didn't work for me. Best wishes to all. Best wishes to the filmmakers and the cast for doing future horror movies. Hopefully, they're better than this. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rithlin. Until we meet again, happy trails to you.